Hi, my name is Shane. Thanks for hanging out today. I'm going to play through a rhythm called a Rhumba Guaguanco. There are 6 different parts to it. I'm going to add one on each pass. Down below on the screen, I will have the sheet music up, and the parts that I'm adding will be in red. If you stick around after the rhythm, I'll give you a little lesson on it and show you some different ways to use it. So, check it out. So there it was, the Rhumba Guaguanco, or as it's probably properly pronounced, Rhumba Guaguanco. I'm never sure, how much a non-native Spanish speaker is supposed to get those inflections, so it's somewhere in between those two. I fully realize that my Latin feel isn't the best. I blame that on the fact that, I'm white and I live in Ohio, and I really don't get a chance to play that stuff very often. But I love playing around with it, and I do so, in sound checks. In fact, that's where I use that rhythm the most, is on my sound check, because I'm kind of using all parts of the set, kick, snare, toms. The parts on the right hand, I often play on the ride cymbal and the ride bell. It sounds great over there. So that's where I use it most, but you can, practice and use it however you'd like. So it's very complicated, I'm sure you heard. I will explain all the different parts there, and we'll have the sheet music available for download so you can see how those fit together. The first thing I added is the offbeat on the hi-hats. That's not strictly a Latin thing, but it gets added to a lot of Latin rhythms, so I think that fits there. So it's just all the offbeats. So if you're playing 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. The next part is the bass drum, and that is on the 1 and the and of 2. The and of 2 is typically called the bomba part. That comes from the name of the drum that when you're playing in a Latin ensemble actually plays that. I also play the downbeat because in the rhythm that this comes from, the Guaguanco, on the congas, there is a bass on the downbeat and a bass on the and of 2, and then there's a slap on the 2, which is where that snare drum comes in. So the bass drum plays. The snare drum is then on the 2, so that takes care of the first part of that conga rhythm, which is bass, slap, bass. So you hear. The next part that gets added is where the rumba comes from. There are there's many types of clave. One is the standard 3-2 clave, which sounds like this. And of course, you can play that 2-3. The rumba part is when you take the last beat of the count of 3 and move that back 1/8 note. So the rumba sounds like. And you can do that in, the 2-3 pattern as well. The next part that gets added are the conga open tones. This rhythm is actually written for 3 conga players, I believe. It can be played by one player, with multiple drums. Those open tones sound like this. So the entire emulation of the conga part is... So the clave, which I've been playing on the cowbell, gets put together with that. After the clave, we go to the cascara part. Cascara means, I believe, shell, and that's usually played on the actual shell of the timbali. The cascara part by itself sounds like this. And you're actually supposed to accent all the long tones. So I'm not really great at doing that. Once I get everything else going, I kind of try to get it in there, but it is really difficult. So if you practice, I'm sure, and you're going to play this a lot, you can certainly fit that in. If you do not have the the cowbell woodblock set up over on your right, you can certainly play all of those right-handed parts on a ride cymbal. I usually play the clave on the bell, and then when I get to the cascara, I will play it on the the shoulder of the cymbal or even the floor tom rim. So I'll let you hear how that sounds. So that's it, the Rhumba Guaguanco. I encourage you to study these rhythms from people that play them for a living. There's certainly more credible sources than I am for how authentic these are. But if you're watching me already, I figured I would give you a little taste of something like that, and maybe whet your appetite for some more Latin rhythms. There's a ton of really cool stuff you can do. I've studied and tried to play a lot of those. My feel, as I mentioned, isn't great on it, but it's really good for coordination. And other things, if you're playing rock, you can get some cool fills out of there. If you're doing funk, you can incorporate, a lot of those patterns into that. So once again, I'm Shane. Thanks for hanging out. Make sure you subscribe to all the social media sites. Check out my other covers and tutorials, and take care.